Hey guys, before we get into today's episode, I want to talk about our friends at Game Time, the official ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. You guys know how much we love Game Time, and now with their new Game Time Picks feature, they're making it easier than ever to get to a game. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I was looking at tickets to tomorrow's Bulls game. They play the Wizards. I know the Wizards are circling the bottom of the drain, but still, you get to go see a Bulls game on a Friday night for as low as $30. Okay, you can get those seats there if you just go and you turn on the GT Picks feature. It's a setting at the top of the screen, or you could browse the best local Game Time Picks deals near you on your Game Time app homepage. So I don't know what you're waiting for. I'm going to go buy those Bulls tickets for $30 with Game Time Picks. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DOGWALK for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DOGWALK for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game time.
All right, bang. We are here today. This is the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports, first and foremost. We are here today in a hotel room in Encino. I am joined by KB, the celebrity sex tape broker. KB, we met each other years ago. Not the first time meeting in person. You hit me up when I was still doing the show with Dave, and you had first knowledge about Dave's tape, I guess we'll say.
I had some compromising material that was thrown my way of Dave in a compromising position.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And I approached him
to
see if he wanted to retain my services to make it go away, because that's what I do now. I work as a fixer, because celebrity sex tape broker is such a it's a dying trend.
Okay, you got to tell me the difference in both of them.
Yeah.
Because, so that's how we met, just first and foremost.
Correct.
And obviously, I don't want Dave to murder me, so we won't talk about him as much. But there are a lot of other cases that you've helped on.
Correct.
So the difference between a fixer and a celebrity sex tape broker, and how the hell did you start doing this?
So many years ago, obviously, I was in the adult industry out here, which, by the way, you are at ground zero. You're staying here at the Courtyard Marriott off the 405, which is where all the porn stars used to stay when they would fly in to interview with Vivid Video and all the other big porn houses. This is where they would put them up. So welcome to the Porn Valley.
Why was
it's
this
so glad to have you here.
Just by chance?
This just happened to be like the perfect place. It's right off the 405. It's the main artery to get up and down to the airports.
Okay.
Burbank's right around the corner, but Chatsworth is right down the street, which is where all the studios used to be.
Okay.
Before there was OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Which now everybody's got their own porn studio in their bedroom. This is where people would come and they would shoot porn in the San Fernando Valley.
Interesting. Okay, so then let's get into your story first, and then we'll talk about the difference between a fixer and a sex tape broker.
Yeah.
So you moved to LA, you're in the porn industry, and what exactly were you doing in the porn industry?
A myriad of different business. I was selling sex toys at one point. I was known as KB Toys. I was doing the hosting. I was selling the hosting for websites that would host porn websites. I did marketing for Houston, who was a famous gangbang queen who did the Houston 620. Are you familiar?
I am not.
She did 620 men in one day.
She's like the original. That girl's going viral right now.
She held the gangbang record, Houston. 620, because I think 621 would have made her a whore. People always ask me why 620. I'm like, that's my standard answer. But they had to pack her in ice for several days after that because it wasn't good. But we had gone on Howard Stern, and I had developed a relationship with Howard and Baba Booey back in the day. And this is when they had like 25 million listeners. This is way before podcasts.
What year around?
This was 2001, 2002.
Okay, so they were still terrestrial radio at the time.
It was never bigger. Yeah. Howard was never bigger.
Okay.
And, got on, we plugged it, and we saw the power of the plugs. And then, I maintained that relationship. And then years later, the Paris Hilton sex tape comes calling, and I go and I meet with a guy here who claimed to have this tape of Paris Hilton. I had no idea who Paris was. Nobody did. And they said she's the heir of the Hilton hotel fortune. And she's going to be a big deal. She's got this TV show called Simple Life, and it's coming out with Nicole Richie. And we're like, hey, what's the worst that could happen? These guys were friends. These other guys I knew in the internet business were friends with Seth Wachowski, who just passed away, more famously known for putting out the Pam and Tommy Lee sex tape.
Okay. You stole it, right?
Allegedly.
Okay.
It was stolen through somebody else, but brokered to this guy, Seth. So these guys that I decided to market this tape with out of Seattle, they were kind of just looking to do publicity out of it. And they really weren't going to put up the sex tape of Paris. They thought they were going to get a cease and desist.
Uh-huh.
So we went out there, and I broke the story on Howard Stern's show, and this was 2003. It became the biggest story of 2003. It was a scandal. You know, this was a big deal that that sex tape came out, but it also made her famous. So you're welcome. You're welcome, Paris.
Okay, so you got, but I thought like Rick Solomon, the guy in the video, was like involved with that getting out. No.
Rick initially was not involved. It was his roommate who'd stolen the tape and brought it to us. Although he said that it was with the blessing of Rick, that really wasn't the case, which is why I ended up getting sued for $20 million. The company that was going to put it out got sued for $20 million. Everybody got sued for $20 million. The good thing is when you don't have $20 million, like I didn't, you don't get as worried about getting sued for $20 million. But it was a thing.
Yeah, but can't they take everything you have that's not $20 million?
And at that point, like I said, it wasn't much. I was working as a PR guy for porn websites and stuff, so it catapulted me into the
So did you lose the lawsuit?
No, I've actually never lost a lawsuit, knock on wood, to this day, and I've been sued by everybody from Von Miller to Tila Tequila to Rosalind Papa, who was the first Bachelorette. I got sued a lot, but ultimately I learned that there's more money behind the scenes making them go away.
Okay.
Which is where the celebrity fixer comes into play.
Okay. So let's stick on Paris for a second here. So his roommate gives it to you guys broker it, and then Rick jumps in and he is like, and that was why it got cleared to become like a DVD and be sold and shit, right?
Well, to be honest with you, you can't put out any type of DVD or website that features nudity or depicts any kind of sexual act without having what's called a 2257, which is a release, and it shows that you have two forms of identification. It shows that you're over 18 years of age and that you consent to it. So in a nutshell, they signed off on it, is what I'm basically
Paris
saying.
did too.
Of course.
She had to.
Everybody has to.
Why
it drives them all crazy when I come out there and I say that.
Why? Because they like it to be known, like they like to pretend like it was a leak.
Of course.
But it wasn't. That was all. So she signed off on that video going to shelves.
Absolutely. Legally, they all do. So did Kim Kardashian. So did Tom Sizemore back in the day. You name a sex tape that was commercially put out there for sale, they did. Except Pam and Tommy Lee. They never did. And there was a whole show that was on Hulu last year called Pam and Tommy. I don't know if you saw it. Did you watch it?
I didn't watch it, but obviously I'm familiar with, like, the story is that someone broke into their safe and stole the tape, right? And then...
Correct. And this was many, many years ago. There was a gentleman, and this was back when people actually bought porn on VHS tapes. Mm-hmm. You know, there was a lot of money out here in the valley being made off of tapes, but those sex tapes were the pioneering celebrity sex tapes.
Okay.
You know.
So that's kind of how it works. So you moved out when you moved here from Ohio. Was it your was that the goal to get into porn, or it's just that's kind of what you fell into?
You know, funny enough, when I was growing up in Cleveland, I would wear sunglasses to school every day, and people would call me Hollywood, and I would always tell them, I'm like, someday you're going to see me. I'm either going to be in the music business, or I'll probably get in the porn business. And it was funny because I remember watching the Playboy channel as a kid. And at the end of all the movies, you would see like the 2257 notice, which I basically just told you about. And they would give the address 15127 Khalifa Street. And I knew that was the address to Vivid Video, like a savant. Like I had porn Asperger's. Yeah. So like I knew like the address. I'm like, I would see Chatsworth. I'm like, someday I'm going to live there. And then I came out here and I ended up working in the music industry, managing a reggae artist named Ika Mouse, international famous reggae legend, by the way.
Okay.
And then I ended up going into the porn business. And funny enough, Vivid was one of my partners in the sex toy company that I was marketing. So
Okay.
dreams really do come true, ladies and gentlemen.
So then after Paris, you said you realized that there's way more money trying to make the shit go away rather than trying to produce celebrity sex tapes.
Well, I mean, look, we live in the Google age now, right? Where everybody could just Google celebrity sex tape, money, how to get paid on celebrity sex tape. And then my face pops up because I do great podcasts like yours, and I go out and I do a lot of media stuff. I've been in some movies. So people Google, they look me up, and just like Fred Sanford, like, you know, they think I own this junkyard and I could turn their junk into tons of money. And in some cases I do. Again, it's really about who has the most to lose. If you're a celebrity, you've got an endorsement with a big company, and you've got a concert tour or a shoe line coming out, then it behooves you to get a guy like me to take it off the market.
Yeah, so
right? So you can keep the money train rolling, and everybody else is happy here in LA.
keep the PG-13 image and not.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Justin Bieber, which years ago I had some stuff that was compromising for his career. Nothing sex tape wise, but stuff that wasn't a good look for a young man.
So it's not even all sex related.
No, sometimes, you know, it's funny. It transcends just sex tapes. It might be dick pics. It might be text messages, inappropriate texts in between, you know, married men and their girlfriends. Or
Okay.
there's all kinds of stuff where people could definitely get in some trouble out here.
So what was the first one where you jumped in the foray and someone was like, hey, can you help make this go away? Like, what was your first time to be a fixer?
Dave Navarro, who's my homie to this day from Jane's Addiction. I had met him, and he saw a movie that I starred in called American Cannibal, and it had been on Showtime for a while. It was at the Tribeca Film Awards, but he walked up to me and he's like, hey man, I really liked your movie. And I was like, are you serious, man? Like, you're Dave Navarro. Like, I'm a huge fan of yours, right?
Yeah.
He goes, here, take my number down. I'm like, cool, man. He goes, we'll hang out. 2 weeks later, I get shot the tape of him tied to a tree, and some woman's like flogging him, and I guess he had relapse and he was on drugs again. And I called him up and I was like, yo, bro, like, it's a good thing you gave me your number because somebody's trying to sell you out. And I could probably help you make it go away. And that was the first time I did it. And then after that, there was probably a couple more rock stars, a couple rappers, a lot of basketball players.
Yeah.
There's something about NBA players where they just don't think straight.
So how many like are we talking? Do you get a month or someone's like, hey, KB, I need your help. This compromising video is out of me. I need you to make it go away.
I would say on average, not as many as you would think. Maybe 2.
Okay.
Maybe 2.
But like,
And some of them, you know, like I just got something the other day where somebody's like, hey, I got a sex tape with this girl from this show, Love Island, and she's got X amount of IG followers, and she's huge on TikTok. And I'll be like, yeah, listen, dude, I don't know who this is.
Yeah.
And there's no porn company that's going to pay you for it.
I don't know, dude. You should look into that shit because that shit's getting monster right now.
You know, look, I understand you were at a party last night with a bunch of influencers.
Yeah.
And you're around the OnlyFans contingency, which is interesting, right? Like, I know the guys that started OnlyFans.
Yeah, I think they're in Chicago.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Allegedly.
Yeah.
But those guys, yeah, we all came up the same time in the adult internet business, and those guys ran away with it, man. I mean, that's a whole nother league.
It wasn't even their intention either, right? Like they were just making kind of like a video platform, and then it turned into what it turned into.
What happened was the pandemic is what happened, and that's what really propelled it. I mean, before that, webcams were big. Webcams had always been big. I dated a few webcam models back in the day, and I thought they made really good money when they would get a check for, $20,000 a month. There are girls doing this now that are making $20,000 a day.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's insane to me.
It's wild. So is there like a flat fee for this service you provide?
It ranges. So yeah, depending on what it is and just how many layers, where it's, sometimes if it's already leaked online, I do the removals. I'm able to get rid of stuff that's on Google and Bing and YouTube. So there's an online reputation management side to what I do. I work with this company called brandcloud.us, and that's primarily what I do now is I make bad things go away for people.
Yeah.
So anybody ever says anything about you, Eddie Barstool,
You could wash it away.
I know some people.
Look at that. Stay controlled media, KB.
I know some people.
Let's go. People call me Red Ed. You'll see some fucking Red Ed after this podcast.
I know that you know, Dave's probably not going to appreciate us bringing this up again, but he has one of the best lawyers there is as far as removals online.
Yeah? I mean, you can't find his shit anywhere.
If you remember when you guys had me on that show originally, I said, bro, whoever was doing your work made sure that stuff that got leaked is scrubbed.
Yeah.
Is gone.
Which is like near impossible, I feel.
It's almost impossible. That's why Andrew, his lawyer, I do a lot of stuff with. He's the best.
He's like the king of the scrub.
And it just made sense because I had lunch with that lawyer a couple weeks out, not knowing that that's who he retained. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned something to the lawyer about Portnoy, and he just smiled at me. I go, is that your client? And he's like, I can't talk about my clients. But I knew at that point.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So it ranges. So like
it ranges. I mean, but usually it's about $25,000.
Okay. So it's like a flat fee. It's like, hey.
It depends, you know.
Now is that like $25,000 to you, and then like, hey, it's gonna be for this, but then
right. You retain me. I go out there. I try to negotiate with the person that's trying to sell out your client.
with the blackmailer, so to speak.
Right. Well, you know, I hate to use the term blackmail, but for whatever, yeah, for lack of a better word, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. I like to call it copyright acquisition and copyright transfer, because if somebody has something that is not theirs, they don't really have the copyright, but they have the ownership. So like they say, ownership is 9/10 of the law. If you've got something that somebody wants, there's a good chance that somebody's going to want to write you a check to get it back. Mm-hmm. And then I basically have to go out there and guarantee there's no copies. I have to vet these people. I also have to sometimes buy up anything that touched that compromising material, whether it's an iPad, a phone, a computer. Because even if you think you're destroying a cell phone, we threw one in a vat of nitric acid one day in the back of a lawyer's office. And when I tell you this noxious smoke was flying, people went running in every direction.
Really?
Yeah, we still don't even know if, that stuff was destroyed 100%.
Can I ask what was on there?
Oh, man. That was a sex tape of somebody who was a very, very humongous A-list actor in this town.
Okay. So A-list actor was
He's still alive, so I'm not going to allude.
No,
but I will
problem.
say that if this tape were ever shown, yeah, his legacy would have been tarnished forever.
Really? Like it was next level? Or was it just
Yeah. I see a lot of things differently. I watch television a little bit differently than most people. I used to watch 2.5 Men, and that used to be one of my favorite shows on TV. And then I got involved with Charlie Sheen, and I was like, I can't look at this stuff anymore.
Is he the wildest person that you've dealt with?
Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Tom Sizemore were both out of control. Sizemore is now dead, but...
yeah. So Sheen was like...
I mean, dude, listen, I used to think I liked the party back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was in the porn business and went to the Playboy Mansion. I've seen a lot of stuff, man. I've never done a drug that gave me tiger blood or made me do half the stuff that guy was doing.
Yeah.
But it was not, it wasn't normal.
No.
No.
Is he still live out here?
Yeah.
Is he like... I don't know. Is he like on the straight and narrow now, or what's his deal?
I don't know. He doesn't call me.
No? So he would call you a lot before?
No.
No?
Well, sometimes I get retained by people that are tangential. That they are like a manager, an agent, a lawyer, a PR person, a PR firm.
Yeah. Well, at that point, I think Sheen was like, hey, fuck it. Like, everything's out there. I'm not.
When the drugs hit, at one point when people didn't know he was HIV positive, obviously that was a lot of the stuff that you would want to keep cloaked. But there were so many people at one point that were blackmailing him that it was just a matter of time before it was going to get out. And then there were other like blogs that were extorting him, saying, look, man, we got the goods and we're going to release the story.
Yeah.
You could control the narrative, and that's why he went on the Today Show. Like everything you see in Hollywood, man, there's reasons why you see it, when you see it, and how you see it. Whether it's Dave Grohl, and what happened with his illegitimate child. There's all kinds of stuff that's, it's how it looks to the media and how it looks to the public and how you spin things.
So you brought up the blogs. Did the Hogan Gawker trial help or hurt your business?
I would say it helped my business because it was the first time I was ever called as an expert witness in something. Like, it was a huge case. I had no idea. So really until recently when I watched that Vince McMahon documentary. Did you watch that?
You funny you say that. I was watching it on the plane here.
What'd you think of it?
I got a couple episodes left. A lot of it was stuff that was known, like a lot of it was just kind of like a rehash, like kind of a encyclopedia, but there were some interesting things in there.
See, I wasn't a wrestling fan. It wasn't my era. It was kind of like a generation behind me. Yeah. So I was never into it. And of course, I always was like, who wants to watch fake stuff like this, right? But realizing now how quintessential Hulk Hogan is to the story of professional wrestling and what he was, I get now why he was a god in Pinellas County. But the fact of the matter was, to see my fat face pop up on a screen that the jurors were looking at in St. Petersburg, Florida, talking about the value of a sex tape was kind of really comical. Like the first time I got called.
I didn't even realize you were on the trial, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, dude. I was the expert witness, and I put together a curriculum vitae. I now have a CV as a result of
no shit.
Makes me attractive to lawyers and shows lawyers that I could be credible and used as an expert witness.
No shit. I did not realize that was the case.
So the next time Portnoy gets in trouble, I'm gonna have to come to his aid. One sex tape. Everybody knows the rules.
Yeah. But as far as that went, so. You're saying just the fact that someone took possession of that tape, like they own some sort of ownership over it, essentially.
Yes, our light just went out here. Did you notice?
Yeah, I think our light's out, Lance. So they own, in a weird way.
Well, I mean, look, like
stolen
I said,
property is yours. It's property.
Stolen. The only time you could get away with enforcing a stolen situation is if you reported stolen to the cops and there's an actual police report of it being stolen.
Okay.
Years ago, Tila Tequila claimed that her tape was stolen from TSA agents, and it was, but she had never filed a police report. So when that came back and the guy had it, it was a whole situation of like, do you want it? And of course, then the lawyers make this argument that you're extorting them or you're trying to hold them up to get it back. But nobody's forcing anybody. The definition of extortion really is like, Eddie, if you don't give me $5,000, I'm going to put this on Barstool Sports. That's extortion. If you don't do this, I'm going to do that. If I have a lawyer that approaches your lawyer and says, hey, my client made a sex tape with your client and she's 50% copyright holder and she's inquiring whether or not your client would like to sell their copyright to you, what do you want to do? Well, 9 out of 10 times they're going to say, no, we're not going to sell the copyright. We'll buy your copyright.
Gotcha. But if there was a situation where it's like, hey, I have this sex tape, I'm thinking about publishing it, like I'm just letting you know, then that's where it's like unsolicited, people will jump in with money. And so you're not extorting them because you're not saying you want that, even though you do want that.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm trying to make money.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like that's
and it's a crazy business that there is even a person like me. That was the funniest part about the Hulk Hogan trial is that when I watched the news report later on that day, they're like, "Oh yeah, a celebrity sex tape expert testified," and they're like, "Yeah, that's an actual occupation, ladies and gentlemen."
That's insane. Like, do you like
the first time I ever saw that written? I think it was in the New York Times or Vanity Fair, and I just thought that was the funniest thing in the world. That somebody's nomenclature for me was celebrity sex tape.
Yeah,
like what am I going to do with that, right?
Like, what do you do when you go home for Thanksgiving? Like, what's
Well, now it's funny because my parents had no idea what the hell I did for the longest time. They still have no idea what I really do.
Yeah,
but now when I go home to Cleveland, You get off the plane and like, dude, you and the Kelsey brothers and Logan Paul, like you guys are the famous people in Cleveland. I'm like, no, dude, I'm infamous. Everybody knows Logan Paul. They know fucking the Kelsey brothers. They don't know me.
Yeah.
They just know I was attached to something that was a big deal back in the day.
Mm-hmm. So, does it feel like a sleazy profession? Do you think it's a sleazy profession?
You know, I never thought of it as sleazy back in the day. I always thought it was like whatever like consenting adults want to do, right? As long as it's not animals or kids or violence, I was always cool with what people wanted to do. Going to porn conventions for many years, I had to keep an open mind, man. Whether I walked into a room at the Venetian and it was a gay party going on, I had to be like just as understanding and open about that as I would like at a hetero party or whatever. It's like no judgment. But as it went on, I started seeing the porn getting like more hardcore and more abusive and crazier and people pushing the envelope. And I was like, man, I must be getting more conservative, like the longer I'm in the business.
Yeah.
And then obviously I wanted to get in the business to kind of help people after years of putting out negative information about these celebrities. Now I'm like, well, I could actually do good by getting rid of a lot of it.
Helping them.
You sound like the fireman that, knows how to put out a fire. I used to light your backyard on fire and I'd come with the fire hose now, right?
Yeah, you broke good instead of breaking bad.
Yeah. I'm a superhero of sorts.
So have you kept the relationship with someone that you've made their tape disappear?
Yeah, actually a couple.
And they'll send you like a tin of popcorn around the holidays.
I don't get that. I got a signed guitar from one of them. I get tickets and backstage passes every time another one comes through. I have a comic that's gotten me, me and some friends. Listen, you know what? At the end of the day, it's nice when you live out in LA and you bump into people and you meet some of your idols. Because they say you should never meet your idols, whether it's sports or whatever. You meet them and you're like, oh, that guy was a dick, right?
Yeah.
Out here, every now and then, when you actually do a favor for somebody and they're very, very happy, then it's nice. I met Cameron Diaz out here, and she had somebody who was trying to give her a real hard time with a fake tape. It wasn't a tape. It was just some pictures of her. She was topless. It was the first thing that she'd ever shot. And I had no idea that these people were extorting her for $2 million.
Oh, wow.
And when I got involved, I was kind of like the decoy. I went out there and tried to buy it back, and I traced down where these people were. So when I was at the Mondrian Hotel one day with a different job, with my first day on the job with my new boss, he looked behind me and he goes, hey, is that Cameron Diaz sitting with Justin Timberlake? And I'm like, yeah, as a matter of fact, it is. Hey, guys, I'll be right back. And they're like, what the fuck? And I walk over and I'm like, hey, what's up, Jay? What's up, Cam? I go, I'm Kevin Blatt. I'm KB. I'm the one that helped you with that. She goes, oh my God, you're the one that helped me with that Jared Rudder and the sex tape, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah. She got up, gave me a hug. Sit down. You're having a drink with us. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. The nicest, sweetest person in Hollywood. Bro.
Yeah. So as sleazy as it may sound, you're doing good for these people now.
I do a good service, and that's just for celebrities.
When you were brokering them, you were on the other side.
Yeah, but look, like I said earlier, you were at a party with a bunch of OnlyFans models, right? Like, who would have ever thought that OnlyFans would become?
It wasn't like an OnlyFans party.
No, but
there was. I'm sure there were girls who dabbled.
I'm sure a lot of those girls have OnlyFans pages.
Sure,
every hot chick that you'll see here, by the way, between here and LAX on your way home, they either have an OnlyFans account,
sure,
they're on a webcam, or they're a sugar baby,
sure,
or they're on Seeking Arrangement. I mean, any hot chick under 40 that's single, I'm telling you right now, if they're living out here, that's the arrangement.
But sorry, continue what we're saying.
I'm just saying, you know what? Back when I got in the business, there was a stigma that it was very sleazy, and it was very gross, and it was dirty, and it was this and it was that. And I always made excuses for it and said, no, it's really not, because it really helps a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, consenting adults are into it. Now, like I said, the proliferation of all this porn during the pandemic made it normal. OnlyFans has now become mainstream. It's completely normal. Yeah. So it's like, I see some stuff on OnlyFans that is so tame. I know girls that don't even show nipple that are making $100,000 a month.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's really making people enter a line of work that they never thought they would do in a million years.
Correct.
But they see, frankly, how easy it is, and how much money you can make, and they're like, it's kind of crazy if I don't do this.
It's funny. You say it's easy, and people do think that it's easy. But having dated a few of these girls, they work very hard creating content all day.
Totally, I'm sure.
It's a lot to edit this stuff and put it out there and have to promote yourself. And it's funny because to most people you look at it, you're like, oh man, these chicks are all narcissists, and this is all they do is they shoot themselves all day. It's their business.
Yeah, it's what they
and
do. No.
it comes first. And it's wild. It's wild, but I'm 55 years old, so for me, I think all of this new media is crazy, but I also realize the reach. I mean, look at you guys. Like, Barstool's humongous, man.
Yeah.
I never would have thought years ago that a Call Her Daddy would be like this juggernaut.
Yeah.
But look what she's done, man.
No, you're right. Like all these, there's big stars who have acted in big Hollywood blockbusters that have daytime talk shows.
Yeah.
And she's bigger than all of them.
Bigger than all of them.
Alex is bigger than all of them.
What really blew me away, though, is like, hanging out at the Comedy Store, knowing guys like Theo and Tony and all these people, seeing them getting involved with politics, right? And you have Trump on a podcast.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me. But it shows the power of the podcasts and the internet. And
Totally.
You guys get in front of more people than most terrestrial radio stations, even syndicated.
Yeah. Like it's crazy. Like I said, like Drew Barrymore, like she's been in fucking awesome. She was in E.T.
Right.
And Alex Cooper, like no disrespect to Alex, but it's just like, it's wild to think that her show is just so much bigger.
I mean, one talks about swallowing during a blowjob. The other one basically is just,
Yeah, not anymore though. Not anymore.
I know, they're kind of intertwined. It's weird when you watch television how different the standards are now.
Yeah, no, it is. But going back to that Hogan Gawker thing.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't even talking about just you being a witness on it, because I actually didn't even realize that. But there's not willingness for, and I guess Gawker was maybe the only one who's really doing that kind of shit, but there's not a willingness to kind of publish shit like that anymore because people are afraid of getting in trouble.
Correct. Which
so
is
that
why
kind of helps the celebrities and helps. Well, it's kind of bad for business for you in a way.
It
but
is
good for society. I guess.
That's really one of the best questions you could ask me because it's so true. And if you look at TMZ and their content now, for instance, after Gawker Media got sued, right, and that all happened, I mean, Hulk Hogan won $140 million. That's when all of a sudden Harvey stopped picking on celebrity. Now, all of a sudden, if you look at all the stories that they do, it's either straight out of a police report where it's documented firsthand, or it's some urban rapper you never heard of or some influencer you never heard of that wants the publicity. Mm-hmm. Right? They're not breaking any news anymore that could be like, hey, we think Mel Gibson just was yelling anti-Semitic epithets at cops. Like, that's what they were known for. That's what got them on the map. Now, they're talking about people you never heard of because they can't get sued by them. It's not a liability.
Damn, that's a very good point, dude.
Oh, it's why you won't see a lot of stuff. The only time you're going to hear outlandish stuff is on shows like this and YouTube channels. There's a woman whose show I do named Tasha K. Do you know who Tasha K is?
No idea.
She's a black blogger who got sued by Cardi B for calling her a hooker and all kinds of bad shit. She lost millions of dollars in a lawsuit, and she's hiding the money, and now they're still like suing. When I tell you, when I did her show, I must have had 1,000 new followers the next day. I never heard of this woman.
Really?
She's humongous in the hip hop scene and the urban. And again, she's not really spouting truth bombs. These are people that are just talking. Like, listen, this is the whole thing about Diddy. And I knew at some point we'd probably bring this up, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody was calling me about Diddy, and there's Diddy tapes. Where are the Diddy tapes? There's no Diddy tapes.
There's no Diddy tapes at all.
The only Diddy tapes that we know of are the ones that were confiscated by the Department of Homeland Security, because that's who's in charge of that investigation. I've actually had talks with guys that work with the FBI that don't know anything about anything. They actually call me to see if I know anything about celebrities being extorted. I'm like, you're calling me and asking me? Usually you guys know the answer to every question.
Well, it's like the IRS. They know how much you owe.
They know exactly.
But they want you to figure out yourself.
So, I mean, there's a lot of lawyers right now that are just grandstanding. There's that guy, that Tony Busby guy, right, who keeps coming forward saying he's got all these people against Diddy. He's also the guy, by the way, who had all the accusers that were lined up against Deshaun Watson.
So you're saying that's kind of what he does? He kind of farms out?
That's exactly what he does.
Uh-huh. So you think he's bullshit, or you think you're just saying like
I think they're complete bullshit, but at the same time, it's a business model for these guys. They go out there and they're like, yeah, I've got 30 people that are going to go out and sue Diddy. Well, that's his way of drumming up real people that might be out there that have stories, right? How else are you going to get people to come to you?
Oh, shit.
Right? Just like if I had a sex tape right now and I'm like, hey, I'm going to call Eddie from Barstool. I'll get on his show. We'll talk about the sex tape. Then maybe somebody else will bring me another sex tape because they're hearing the sex tape broken.
Mm-hmm.
But in my case, I'm legitimate. Like, I'm actually doing a service. This guy's out there drumming up stuff that I don't think's true.
Okay, so that's his case, but you're not saying that you don't think there's anything that was going on with Diddy, right? You think there's gotta be some fire behind that smoke.
Oh, of course. Listen, I'm just saying, he's defenseless. I'm not making any excuses for him, but he's behind bars and he's got bigger fish to fry than whether or not Eddie from Barstool or Kevin Blatt says something about him being with kids. But there's a lot of people out there. Somebody put out that Kim Porter book, which was complete bullshit.
What's the Kim Porter book?
Kim Porter was Diddy's ex-wife who died of pneumonia, and there was a gentleman that said that he had gotten all the thumb drives from her before she died, and it details him being at the hands of her death. Puts out a book, puts it on Amazon, it makes $400,000 before it gets pulled off for fraud.
Huh.
And now Diddy's kids are trying to come after him because technically all those proceeds should go to the estate of Kim Porter.
Uh-huh. No shit. Well, yeah, I don't know, man. That's such a so I guess I answer that. Is Hollywood as fucked up as what the average people think?
Define fucked up.
Like everything you hear about, like Hollywood, there's something going on that's illegal, or there's stuff involving kids, and there's
There's a lot of cover up stuff. When they call it Tinseltown and they say that all that glitters is not gold, that's true. This is the land of it's the boulevard of broken dreams. Hollywood Boulevard. People come out here with a dream, and when it doesn't turn out to be what they want it to be, they will lie, cheat, steal, create bullshit just to get over on people. And that's usually what I'm subjected to. It's a lot of those girls that come out here with no game plan, or guys in some cases. I've dealt with guys that are part of posses of some big actors and big rappers who are promised all this stuff, and they're on the payroll, and then one day they get dumped, and then they're trying to sell out their boy. Happened with Kevin Hart out here a couple of years ago. There's always people out here that you think are your friends, and those are the ones that you got to be the most careful about in Hollywood, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like more and more people. Obviously it started with Cosby, and and it's just the Diddy, and everything just keeps going up and
Danny
up.
Masterson.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the times it's also the people that you think are the nicest people, the nicest guys. Mm-hmm. And then you're surprised to learn that they're not. But that's their ruse. That's what they hide behind.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I watch television and movies a little bit differently than most people. Because I've seen things that you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. No, I imagine you have.
But there's a layer of, look, a lot of it's drug addiction, a lot of it's narcissism, and a lot of it's loneliness and isolation. Because once you do become very famous out here, it's very hard to keep people around you that you could trust.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest thing I can stress to people. Be careful for what you wish for. Be careful for making all that big money, because you know what? All that money
could lead to...
Got to be really careful.
Could lead to a life you don't really want.
Right.
So you said lawsuits. You were sued by Tila Tequila and who else?
Rosalind Papa sued me. She was a bachelor on one of the first Bachelor years that was on. Von Miller. I'm trying to think who else.
Why did Von Miller sue you?
It's a long story, but there was a girl who had a sex tape with him, and
Because I assume if there's a lawsuit, you could talk about it a little bit, right?
yes and no. I settled it, so
okay.
I don't even. I mean, look, it was filed, so people know if they were to Google that there was a lawsuit. But at the end of the day, it was resolved in a misunderstanding.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Like ultimately, I call it the dummy tax, and I say it kiddingly, but when things come to me and I go, so how did you obtain this sex tape? Like, oh, we shot it on my phone. I'm like, on your phone? Like, it's not even on the celebrity's phone. Like, okay, well, you're probably gonna have to pay the dummy tax because you're a dummy.
So that's like the big thing. If you're gonna make a sex tape, don't do it on someone's phone.
Yeah, don't be a dummy.
You just do it on your phone.
Right.
What about the fappening? How did that affect you?
Oh, the fappening. Well, that was case law that the law firm of Lavely and Singer out here, Marty Singer, was in charge of Scarlett Johansson and Kate Upton and who was the other one? Scarlett Johansson. Jennifer Lawrence.
She was the big one. Right?
You saw
and
that,
Kate
right?
Upton. Well, Kate Upton, or like,
But you saw those pictures, right?
I mean, how could you not? That was a time where, like, I don't know if it's DMCA or like shit just got taken down slower, but like that shit was all over the place, you know?
And you really know way too much about this DMCA stuff.
Well,
this
because
court. I really appreciate that you
no,
know
but
this
in our
stuff.
world, like,
Yeah,
look
yeah.
at DMCA. If I play a video of the NFL game right now,
Yeah.
or if I play a song with Drake in the background, like
Yeah.
they'll hit me with the DMCA, and then they'll try to take away my Twitter account. So
That's right.
that's very much in our world.
You
know?
deal with this every fucking day.
Yeah, it's just
I
not
didn't even
when-
think about it.
Not when someone's getting
Well,
penetrated.
it's a pleasure when I could talk to somebody who gets the legalities about this
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
yeah. So yeah, it's a copyright claim if people don't know.
Right. And which is what we deal with all the time. And it's how we shut down things, but then they pop right back up the next day and it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, with fappening, how did
The
that?
fappening became a situation when, I mean, look, that was probably the most invasive of all the different hacks because it was the first time that the general public realized that your cloud is not safe. Right? And it was also the first time that we learned that these girls are a little bit freaky and they have a nice little fun side to them, as most guys do, right? Where they would keep these pictures somewhere and not delete them. But yeah, they ended up hiring that law firm, and that's where DMCA's really got kicked into high gear.
Yeah.
Was after the fappening.
Because I think it was.
And by the way, DMCA, for those that are wondering what the hell it means, it's Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
Yeah.
That's what the DMCA stands
So
for.
yeah, essentially, really anything, especially like I know Major League Baseball and the Olympics is probably like the worst offender of it. If you take a video of your TV
Yeah.
of the Olympics and you post it on Twitter, like they will get it taken down. And if you do it too many times, you get strikes. And if you get like 3 strikes, they'll take down your account. So
Yeah.
as you can imagine, if you got 100,000 followers, that's fuck. You know, your account's gone and
You're
gotta start from
demonetized.
zero.
You become demonetized.
Yeah. So it's a tough thing, but I understand why it exists. It's not your work, so it's like they want to keep their work. So
So I got to ask, you don't get out to LA very often, right?
no, not at all.
So what'd you think of that traffic when you landed?
So I guess my question is about LA traffic is because like listen, Chicago's traffic too, and especially right now we're redoing our main highway, so there's going to be really bad traffic for the next 3 years. Thankfully, we're 2 years in. But like, there's times where I know I can hop on, and it's fine. Now, is it constant? Like, is it legitimately like there's never a sign of relief where it's like, all right, if I leave at like 9 or 10, like I beat rush, like is it like does it subside outside of rush hour at all?
Bro, I could tell you 3 different scenarios, right?
Okay.
There are times that I'm on the freeway at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm stuck in traffic and I'm going, where the fuck are these people going?
All right. Yeah. See, I hate
3
that.
o'clock in the morning.
That's
right?
terrible.
Then there's the other scenario where my doctor's in Beverly Hills and I live over the hill in the San Fernando Valley, which is literally 5.5 miles to get to where I need to go. If I make that appointment at 8:30 in the morning to be there at 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning, I have to leave my house at 7:30 to go 5.5 miles because it is bumper to bumper, like ants going over a log
Yeah.
Because there's only 3 canyons you could do that if you live over the hill.
Yeah.
And the freeway, it is jammed bumper to bumper. And you're just like, where are all these people coming from, right?
Yeah.
The third scenario is when you go to a Greasy Spoon and you're having breakfast in the morning, you're like, okay, I got to go home and make a deposit, right?
Yeah.
And you feel the bubble guts start happening.
Yeah.
And you're in traffic going, okay, I'm only 10 minutes away. I should be on my throne in about 10 minutes. And for whatever reason, you don't make it. And I mean, you don't make it. Like at some points, you literally get out of your car and you start running around looking for bushes because the
So is that
traffic.
common to see people shitting on the side of the road, like pissing?
I've seen so many people, especially going to Vegas. That's where you see the majority of those people do that because they get stuck on the 15. But yeah, in LA traffic, I've seen more women on the side of cars squatting and peeing. I see more guys. I mean, it's just homeless people taking a shit on the side of the roads out here.
Yeah.
You didn't see any of the encampments out here, huh?
No, I actually. Is it ill-advised to like go take a peek at Skid Row?
Oh, you don't want to go down there.
No. I'm not like. It's
It would be very, very ill-advised.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Like I just want like from a pure like. I've heard about it. I just want to see it with my eyes. I don't want to like I don't want to interview. I don't want to do content around it. I just want to see it.
Imagine Somalia, like back in the day. I mean, it's like a war zone.
So you guys just like LA people just don't.
You don't go.
You
there.
don't go in there
unless you're trying to score heroin or fentanyl.
Uh-huh.
It's literally a few blocks of just nothing but The Walking Dead. It's like a Michael Jackson Thriller video that for blocks and just tents and.
Have you been through there?
Oh yeah, Too Short. I had a radio show with a rapper named Too Short, and his studio was right on the other side of Skid Row. You'd have to go to the Fashion District for his studio, but you have to go through Skid Row. And when I tell you, you lock your windows and doors and make sure that nobody comes close to your car. You just keep driving. You never, even through red lights, you just keep driving.
Huh?
It's awful.
I see it like that. Makes me want to see it.
I know. Look, man. There's certain. If I were you, I'd go to Compton before I'd go over there. If you really want to look around and go.
Well, but like that, like Chicago in a sense has a Compton. Like
right.
That's
the South Side.
Yeah, it's wherever there's different neighborhoods that are, that are tough, so
right.
to speak. But we don't. Our homeless encampments are way lower than yours just because of the weather.
Oh yeah, if you're going to be homeless, you want to be underneath the L, or do you want to be out here under a pier?
It's a no question.
You know,
it's a no-brainer.
That's why everybody was always like, "Oh man, California, you woke liberals out there, you're fucking homeless zombies and the crime." I'm like, listen, man. All that aside, and yeah, we have all that. If you're going to be homeless and you want to do drugs, you're going to do it in Chicago or Cleveland or Pittsburgh. You're going to come out here and do it. And you're never going to stop all these people from coming to LA because of the weather.
Yeah.
Weather's great.
Yeah, it's impossible.
That's why I spend as much money as I spend to live here. But it's a different quality of life.
So is it like terrifying though, like money-wise, where you're like, I don't know, like what's going to happen? Like, are you constantly like worried?
Money-wise, like how? Like running out of money?
Like, well, it's kind of like a, someone who works on commission. It's like if you have a bad year or something, like what's...
My business is booming right now.
Yeah?
Yeah. I do a lot of brand lifting with this Japanese company. Like I said, I do online reputation management. Dude, the minute that Weinstein got in trouble, there were all these rich people out here that had pictures with them and Harvey Weinstein. They'd be calling me left and right. Hey, man, can I get this picture taken down off of Google?
Really?
Then it happened to Danny Masterson. Hey, man, could you get this article with me and him gone? Now it's a Diddy. Everybody's called me up. They got pictures of Diddy and them. They don't want any association.
Huh.
It's nuts, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody's been convicted of anything.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Bad sound.
That's all right. Someone's vacuuming.
Bad sound.
But no, yeah, that is nuts. And we could wrap it up here in a second. Is there any other stories or anything else we didn't get to that, or something about the game that people would find interesting? Or if not, no worries.
I think it's important to tell people that we live in a weird society now, and the definition of celebrity has been distorted so much. Because like I said, you might tell me of some TikToker or some influencer, right, that's got 5 million followers. And I'd be like, who? Right?
Yeah.
And that influencer or TikToker most likely is probably making more money than some A-list celebrity, right? and they probably would not like that tape of theirs to come out. But no, that's really not the. It just seems like there's no shame anymore with most people, and I think most of these big people won't even mind if sex tapes come out about them. Because, the news cycle moves so fast these days that
It really does.
it's a big deal for like 10 minutes. And then the next day, somebody does something stupid, right?
Yeah, it really does
Biden
move
falls
fast.
on his face, whatever it is, something happens, and you forget about the big story that happened yesterday. People already forgot about Dave Grohl having a child outside of his marriage, right?
Yeah,
You're not thinking about this.
No, not at all.
Doesn't keep you up at night,
Not at all. Not at all. You're right.
right? But this is the kind of stuff that goes on. It gets buried every day out here.
And then that was the last thing too. So like we don't got to get in anyone specifically, but there's been a big thing where athletes' houses are getting robbed.
Yes. So Joe Burrow, as I think I had this conversation with you yesterday, right?
Maybe.
And I was
don't
like,
know.
I wanted to get in front of his people and let
Because
them know.
that's your suspicion is like,
Well, he said that he was violated and contents were taken out of his house that were extremely personal.
yeah, but that could be like a grandma's ring or some shit, dude. It doesn't
don't
mean
know.
he's got to,
And if it was grandma's ring, he would say some very personal artifacts and family heirlooms were taken
Sure.
that I would like back. Right?
yeah.
He didn't say I have a video of me getting pegged by my wife.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because most people aren't going to say that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Joe Burrow gets pegged by his wife.
Yes, no, you're not. You're just saying that that's a situation where people getting robbed is like there might be more to what is said, or I don't know. Like that's your assumption.
There are a couple things going on in this country right now. There is what's called burglary tourism going on. There are people coming in from different countries on tourist visas, by the way. And they are organized and they are ransacking neighborhoods here in LA. Very coordinated. They're jamming Wi-Fi alarm systems. The Wi-Fi that calls your monitoring system. They are taking out people. And this has been happening with a lot of celebrities because we all have a schedule. If you're a sports fan, we all have a schedule of where our teams are playing this week.
It's so easy to tell, like where they're at.
The fact of the matter is, just like whenever you see a celebrity getting arrested for a DUI, you're like, no, why would Paris Hilton get arrested for DUI? She's got money. Why wouldn't you take an Uber or have a driver, right?
Yeah.
I go, wait a second. If you're Manny Puig or if you're any of these people, why don't you have an alarm system in your $8 million house in the hills? Right? Why doesn't Joe Burrow have an alarm system wherever he lives?
Yeah.
In Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting. But again, if anybody has any knowledge of any stolen Joe Burrow stuff, give me a call. You never know. I'm a Browns fan, which is bad enough, especially today. But yeah, I like to help people out. And also, like I said, most celebrities don't realize when I reach out to them for the first time that I'm friend and not foe, as you can imagine. Most people want to have me killed, and then they realize, wait a second, better this guy than going to Harvey at TMZ first or putting it on YouTube, not knowing the laws, and it gets out there.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that's not the case. Like I said, it could be anything. When I was a kid, my house got robbed twice, and you do feel violated. You see people's footprints in there.
Yeah.
You see shit ransacked. You feel like, holy fuck, someone was here that shouldn't have been there. So he could have been just talking to that, but I get where your line of work, you're like, that's where you jump to.
Oh, I automatically go to the worst
yeah,
case
for
scenario.
sure. So I understand that. That's why, like, when he said that, I was like, oh, that's like kind of a, I don't know. Maybe I just don't want to think that way about society. Maybe I'm just too fucking.
You're not as jaded.
Yeah, not as jaded, but you're right. Like, they're like, maybe that is like why he's like, what the fuck? Like, but to me, it could just be like, someone didn't put his toilet seat up. When they left, someone took a shit in his toilet or something. I don't know.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying, but who knows?
Wow.
Well, where can people contact you, KB?
They could get me on all the socials, as they say. I'm Kevin Blatt, Blatt. It's a Blatt thing.
It's a Blatt thing.
It's a Blatt thing.
That's your handle?
Blatt Lives Matter.
Was that your handle? You're giving like a bunch of handles.
It is now.
Is it just Kevin Blatt?
I go by Kevin Blatt, KB,
Okay.
K Bizzle. You can find me if you Google celebrity sex tapes or celebrity fixer.
All right.
But I'm at brandcloud.us. Check it out. It's a cool thing, man. We can make a lot of nonsense disappear for people.
KB, the most Hollywood LA job you could possibly have.
Right? Via Cleveland.
Yeah, via Cleveland. It makes sense.
Great hanging with
Your
you
ass
guys, by
probably
the
went
way.
to Put-in Bay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Put in Bay.
That's the best. I love that place.
I put the put in Put in Bay.
Yeah, man. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, man.
Interesting stuff.
Hey, thanks.
All right. That's it, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys next time.